Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Miranda and I am the Enchantress of Avalon. So today's video is going to be fun. It is a countdown of 7 of my favorite witchy movies. Figured it's all about summer fun right now, and with the heat boiling outside, being inside in the air conditioning, watching some fun movies is a really great way to unwind. So the first 3 movies I'm going to talk about, I don't actually own like physical copies of them, so I'm just going to talk about them and I'll tell you where they're currently streaming. And then the other 4 I do have physical copies of. They're old favorites, so I have DVDs of them. So the first movie I wanted to talk about is an 80s teen flick that is simply called Teen Witch. It's adorable. It is very much kind of Sabrina the Teenage Witch vibes before Sabrina was Sabrina. I mean, of course, the character existed since the 60s and had a cartoon back in the 60s as well. But when we think Sabrina, I think the first thought for a lot of us is the 90s version. And then the Netflix version is amazing. I'm a huge fan. I know not everyone liked it. I love that series. But Teen Witch is a movie that has similar vibes. It's a teenager kind of just trying to go through her life and finds out she has magic. And she meets this old woman, very much a crone-like figure, who helps guide her in her magical journey. It is such a cute movie. If you like 80s teen flicks to begin with, this is a great, just cute, fun little movie to enjoy for the summer and to get some witchy vibes. The next movie I want to mention is, which is number 6 on this list, so 6, and that is The Witch from 2015 that starred Anya Taylor-Joy. Incredible film. You know, chef's kiss, excellent horror film, very, very psychological, very ominous, and it just has all of those vibes you want from really good, well done horror. And it paints the witch in a very, very classical context. The fact that it is subtitled A New England Folk Tale is very much what it is. It gives a lot of the vibes of how witches were viewed back in that era, and the language used is era appropriate, which might be a hindrance for some viewers because if you don't understand the language, it might be a little bit difficult the first watch through. It has all of the witchy folklore that you would find written about in that era, and it's just a beautifully visually stunning film, even for its horrific elements. I love that they used primarily natural light in filming this because it gives it a very washed out, real aesthetic, and beautifully done, amazing film. The 5th film on the list is The Love Witch, which is from, I believe, 2016. It was released, and it's this amazing little film that I don't know how many people know about this film. In the areas of the internet where I frequent, it's pretty popular, but I know a lot of other people that I've mentioned this film to in day-to-day life have never heard of it. But it's got this 60s candy-coated, very mod aesthetic choice to it, but it is technically set in the modern day, and it follows a witch who is very romantic and very idealistic as she tries to find love, and she casts a bunch of love spells that go very, very wrong, and has very, very dark elements in it too. So if you're not into the darker stuff, maybe not one for you, but just such an amazing film, and it's beautiful. If you didn't know it was a modern film, you'd probably turn this on and think it was something done in the 60s or 70s, just from how aesthetic it is. And you might not catch the little modern references in there, but the clothing is gorgeous. The choices of the backgrounds and the sets, all of it is very, very stunning. And it has a lot to say. Definitely has a lot to say. And it really does give you a sense on the dangers of love magic, which I really, really appreciate, because a lot of people think, oh, well, it's about love. How is that dangerous? Well, it can get into control and have very, very dark consequences, and this film beautifully portrays that. So now we're to the films that I actually own. The fourth film, number 4 on this countdown, is I Married a Witch, which is a film by Renee Claire. It came out in 1942. It is a short movie. It's literally, looking at the back, 77 minutes long. And it stars Veronica Lake as the titular witch. And it is just super cute. Basically, she was burned to death in Salem. Major historical inaccuracy. No witches were burned in Salem. The accused were hung, and one man was pressed to death. No one was burned in Salem. But I forgive it because the film is really, really cute. And she comes back to life. She's able to get resurrected. Her soul having been trapped in this tree, and when it's struck by lightning, she's able to get out. And she, gets a body and starts to try to seduce Frederick March's character. And it turns out he's a descendant of the man who had her and her father put to death. And so major hijinks ensue, and it ends with a very much rom-com-y, cute ending. I think it's just so fun. I definitely recommend it if you've never seen it. I actually think this is probably streaming on Max. It was for a long time. I haven't checked lately if this one is. But if not, you could easily obtain, physical copy if you want to see this movie. Very sweet. Next, number 3 on my list is The Craft. Classic 90s witchy film. Most people have probably already seen this movie. It is super iconic, but so fun. Who doesn't love the idea of watching them experiment with magic, see the positives and the negatives, and see Sarah really come into her own? Sarah being the main character, who was played by Robin Tunney in this film. So great. I just think it had to be on the list. I don't have a lot to say right now because I think most of what's been said about this film has been said. I might do an entire video at one time on this film, but it's an icon. Number 2 on my list is Bell, Book and Candle. Let's try and get the glare off of it. This is an old Jimmy Stewart film, and Kim Novak plays the witch in the film. And Jimmy Stewart is just this man who happens to move into the building that she lives in, and also she has a shop in the building. It's basically an antiquities shop in the beginning. It's really, really cool. And it's set actually over the winter holidays. So like Christmas happens and then New Year's happens. So I always watch it as one of my favorite Christmas films and like holiday films. So, well, I call them Yule films, but it's one of my favorites. And it is such an adorable little movie. She starts using magic to seduce him, mostly after she finds out that one of her college rivals is his fiance. She was like, okay, no. After everything you put me through in college, I'm gonna steal your man. And in the mythos of this film, witches can't actually fall in love or else they lose their magic. So it ends up a lot of hijinks, and then she actually confesses she's a witch at one point to his very shocked and chagrined expression. And she has an awesome little cat. The cat's name is Pyewacket. It's adorable. Such a fun movie. For those who haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching this one if you could find it. And then of course, my number one pick. It should surprise absolutely no one who is a fan of my work that this would be my number one pick. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is Practical Magic. I adore this movie, and it is so important to so many people. It has a huge cult following and a huge fan base. Even though it was not received well in the beginning, I think a lot of people forget that this movie wasn't actually received that well. It was critically derided, actually, because people just did not get it. They a lot of times would say it doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a rom-com? Is it a family drama? Is it horror? What is it? It doesn't know what it wants to be. But I think that's the beauty of the film, is that it's a little bit of everything. And who doesn't love getting a little bit of everything? And the book series is absolutely phenomenal and iconic. I think Alice Hoffman is an insanely excellent writer. And it's just such a beautifully done movie. I have watched this movie just countless times. It is definitely one of my all-time favorites. And I can't say enough great things about this. I will absolutely probably do future videos that are just deep dives into this movie. And there's actually an entire podcast that deep dives into Practical Magic, both the film and the books. And it's the Magnolia Street podcast. It is excellent. I just started listening to it. It started back last October and is still running now. Such a great podcast. Very, very fun. And yeah, I mean, like the tagline says, there's a little witch in every woman. What's not fun about that? And it is just such a cultural touchstone that there is not a better witchy film, in my opinion. Okay, so I do hope you've enjoyed this little fun video counting down 7 of my favorite witchy films. Oh, and I did want to say where the first 3 were streaming. Both The Witch and Teen Witch are streaming on Max currently, and The Love Witch is currently streaming on AMC+. I'm glad I remembered to say that because I had intended to. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and check out my blog, wetroseofavalon.life, for more content. And if you want to support me further, you can join my Ko-Fi for as little as $5 a month and get bonus videos. The next one is actually coming out today, the same day that I'm posting this video. And you can also order a tarot or oracle card reading from me, which I have the services on my website. So all of that is also going to be linked in the description box below. So I hope you have a very wonderful and witchy week, everyone. Bye now.